Hey, what's happening, everybody? Hope y'all are having a great day. I typically will do a post about this a couple of times a year, and this time I chose to do in video format. I'm on my way to the office now, so I figured this will be as good a time as any to have this conversation and hopefully give you guys something to think about. But I want to talk about the trades. And by the trades, I mean the skilled trades, not necessarily trading stocks or anything like that, but skilled trades. For many of you may know my story and some may not, so I'll give you a brief overview of where I've come from. I am a tradesman by vocation. I am a heating and air conditioning contractor and a journeyman plumber / gas fitter. I still hold those licenses even though I don't do the work now, but I still hold those licenses. And so I'm a tradesman, I'm a blue collar guy, and I've always been good with my hands. And so that's kind of just what I decided to do. But I took my very first refrigeration course in high school. I attended Gardendale High School here right outside of Birmingham. And on our campus, we had a vocational school, which was it was called Rogers Vocational School. And so from there, I was able to get in there and, learn a little bit and end up liking it, not understanding at the time that it would turn into a 20+ year career for me. But I end up going to this class, and back then they would have local, regional, and state competitions, I think even on the national level too, but it was an organization called VICA, which stood for Vocational Industrial Clubs of America. I think now they call it Skills USA. But I ended up going there, competing in a couple of the organizations, their competitions. Competing in their competitions. I ended up winning. I came in second in state, I believe, and one of the prizes that you won was a scholarship. So I ended up getting a partial scholarship to Bevel State Community College, which is in Summerton, which is right outside of Birmingham. And so that was it. I ended up not going to Bevel State initially because I did something else with my life. I ended up going to Stillman College for a year and a half or so, trying to live out my football dreams, and that didn't work out. So I ended up coming back to Birmingham, and I went back to Bevel State, and I finished all of my HVAC courses there and got into the career. I worked for a couple of heating and air companies, and I actually got into property management. And while doing that, I also ran my own heating and air company on the side. I think I was 25 or 26 when I earned my my state heating and air contractor's license. And so I was able to take that skill and make that something that was very valuable for me, for my family. And so I worked in the trades. I owned a heating and air company. I've owned a home improvement company. I learned a lot along the way, and I also was able to save myself a lot of money, because you don't realize owning a home, and this is something they don't talk about when you own a home, the maintenance, the upkeep, those things are solely on you. They're all either on your back, in your hands, or in your pocket. So you're gonna have to take care of those things. So developing those skills of learning how to fix things is a very valuable skill, especially for homeowners. But I typically make a post on Facebook or Instagram around this time of the year, really for the graduating seniors, to have an alternative to the 4-year college institutional program. Now, I'm not against a 4-year college, all right? I have a degree, my wife has a degree, my son will likely go to a 4-year college. So I am not against the 4-year college format. So let me say that first. I simply want to present an argument that the trades are a great alternative to the 4-year college institution if you're looking to get into a career. Now, typically, the easily recognizable trades are the MEPs, or the mechanical, electrical, plumbing. So heating and air, electricians and plumbers. Those are typically the most recognizable trades. However, people may not know this, but cosmetology is actually a trade. Carpentry is a trade. Sheet metal is a trade. Welding is a trade. Auto mechanic, auto body, AutoCAD. Those things are actually trades because they require skill that most times require some kind of a licensure that's governed by a state or local authority. And so someone has to, you have to go and sit for a license in order to be considered an expert, so that you can perform those tasks, the duties of the field, to the fashion that is necessary to complete those jobs. And so all of those things are trades. I did not know, again, at 17 years old, that when I walked into Mr. McDonald's class at Gardendale High School, that I was beginning my career. But it turned out to be a very, very valuable asset, a very valuable tool, that I still draw on today. I don't have to call many people to my house to fix anything. I've learned to do a lot of things over the years, and that's something also that the trades will do. The trades will cause you to think, and it makes you think critically. It makes you troubleshooting, because of depending on the field you get in, especially in the MEP area, you will have to be a critical thinker, because you will have to learn to troubleshoot. And so that critical thinking component follows you through life, especially if you're going to be dealing in the MEP field. That's a service field. And so from that, you not only learn to think critically, you learn how to deal with people, you learn how to communicate, you learn how to communicate with different styles of people. And so that is another skill that is, they call them transferable skills now, but that's something that you can take with you through life, and it stays with you. And so, but I really want to make an argument. I'm a proponent of the trades. I tell everybody, I have had mothers say, my daughter's not going to do that. He's going to be a doctor. I say, okay, that's cool. That's perfect. I get it. Little Johnny may grow up to be the world's greatest doctor. He may change the world. I get it. However, I still stand on what I said, that the trades are an amazing opportunity. And here's the thing, right now, there are companies that will hire you, that will train you right out of high school. Companies like Alabama Power, they need electricians. The heating and air field is suffering from licensed and from qualified technicians, plumbers. We need auto mechanics, we need tradesmen. There are plenty of fields. Again, I worked over 20 plus years in the multifamily industry, and I'll tell you, that is one of the biggest industries that the trades has affected the most, because there weren't a lot of people getting into the trades. So when I was coming up, my high school, we would go to the middle school and we would do job fairs and tell the middle school students about the trades, to kind of get them thinking ahead a little bit about those the opportunities in the trades areas. And I saw my shop teacher, man, probably 20 years after I graduated, and he told me they had lost funding at the time, and so they weren't able to keep that program. But now you're starting to see a resurgence of trade schools at all levels. You're seeing it at the high school level, you're seeing it at the post-secondary level. I was able to also teach at Virginia College and also Fortis Institute, which are a couple of trade schools here in Birmingham. And so you're starting to see a resurgence of the trade skills being offered, and it's because we need tradesmen. We need people who are going to go out there, do the work, who are going to be willing to work in the elements, because that's a big deal. But those who are going to go ahead and learn to do the things the right way, in a safe way, but in a way that keeps our economy going, in a way that keeps our lifestyles going. Because I tell people all the time, you can have the prettiest, biggest home in the world. It can be a beautiful 10,000 square foot mansion. But if that mansion doesn't have plumbing, if you can't flush the toilet, if it's uncomfortable and you don't have proper heating and air, it's uncomfortable in there, or if it's dark at night, if you don't have lights, then all of a sudden that 10,000 square foot beautiful home becomes a piece of useless brick and wood, right? And so, so I want people to consider the need for the trades. And I know that for years and probably decades, those who work with their hands have probably had to suffer being seen as somewhat as less than, or not being seen as important as the lawyer or the doctor or the policeman. And that's just a negative connotation that has come along with being a blue-collar worker, mainly because of ignorance and probably because of lack of skill. Because just because I perform with my hands and I work a job with my hands and I get dirty every day, it doesn't mean that what I do is less important than what you do. It just means that we all have a job, we all have a place, we all have a place that we fit, and we all have a skill. We all have a skill set that we can use to help better our communities and help better our lifestyles. And that's it. So that's my argument, man. So I encourage all parents, I encourage all high school students, especially the graduating seniors, consider a career in the trades, especially if you don't mind being dirty, because again, you're not going to get into any kind of a trade, a mechanical trade at least, that is going to be removed from working in the elements. So you're going to be working when it's hot outside in the summer. You're going to be working in the cold in the winter. You're going to be in hot attics. You're going to be in damp and cold crawl spaces. That comes with the territory. But anything that you can do with your hands, that is a skill. I want to encourage you to consider that as a viable career. If you can paint, if you are good at carpentry, if you are good with your hands at fixing things, if you can think, if you can troubleshoot anything, and you know how to go about doing those things, if you are good at computers, and you learn, AI, you learned all those things, consider those things to be a career. Because I don't believe those gifts and those talents and those skills are just given to you by happenstance, but God may want to use that to get you into life and help you build a great life for you and your family. I'm grateful. God has blessed me and my family. I've worked 20 plus years in the field, and I've had a great life, man. He's been great to us, and got to learn a lot, met a lot of great people, made a lot of mistakes, but I also learned a lot. But that just comes with life and experience. So high school seniors, man, consider the trades. Parents, I know you want your kid to go to a 4-year institution, but the trades are a great way to avoid all of that student loan debt. And whether you're paying out of pocket or whether you are getting loans to pay for that education, you may be able to dodge a $100,000 debt simply by allowing your kid to go to a 2-year institution, accredited institution. And I think one day I may come back and talk about the difference between the 2-year trades program versus the for-profit programs that I have had the opportunity to be a part of, and that may be a little bit that may be a bit of a conversation. So I have my opinions and my views on that. So maybe we'll talk about that later. But I want to encourage you guys, man, consider the trades. If y'all have any questions and you're in the Birmingham area or surrounding areas and you want to talk, you need some insight, there are some schools here in the area that I have personally had the experience with that I would love to have a conversation with you about, that I know the programs, I know some of the instructors, and I can vouch for these programs. They do good work. They teach you. They make sure that you know what you need to know when you graduate their program. Now, here's the thing. There's some things that you're not going to learn until you get out in the field. When I was teaching, I would tell my students, I can give you the basics. I'm going to give you all the theory. I'm going to give you all of the knowledge behind what happens. I'm going to give you the science behind what happens in the field. But once you get in the field and you start to put your hands on it, that's where the real learning takes place. I think that is the real classroom. When you really start to learn, kind of figure out what things do and what they're not supposed to do, and you're troubleshooting, you're able to fix it, and you're able to see those things in real time. Creating those problems in the classroom is a controlled environment. And even though we try to mimic what life looks like, sometimes we just can't. You have to just kind of go and see what life brings, and you kind of learn better that way. I was a hands-on learner. I still am. I learn by doing. I'm not the guy who is going to sit down and read a book and just learn it. No, I would do better letting me go out and let me make the mistakes, let me learn on the job, and let me retain information that way. So, but again, guys, consider the trade. Share this with as many people as you know who are considering the trades, or if they're not sure what they want to do after graduation. Again, there are major companies that will hire you. Alabama Power, a lot of the utility companies will hire you and train you their way. And actually, most companies prefer to get you right out of high school or right out of trade school, because they don't have to unlearn you from the ways that you've learned over the years. And so that's a benefit to them. But most of these companies have internal programs that will take you through the proper measures and make sure you're licensed and make sure that you're certified, because some of the things that you may do, depending on the trade, you may have to get OSHA certifications and things like that. So they'll make sure that you have all of that. But consider the trades, guys. It is a major, major opportunity. There is an extreme need for tradesmen. Again, if you, and don't just stick to the MEP trades, but consider cosmetology, AutoCAD, drafting. If you want to get into engineering, get into that. But let's consider something outside of the normal things that have been taught to us to pursue after high school. And if you're looking for a direction, man, again, feel free to inbox me, hit me up. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and I'd love to talk to you. But consider the trades. I hope y'all have a good day. Y'all take it easy.